I want to bring in now somebody who is inside some of the machinations on this, Congressman Krishnamoorthi. He is, of course, a Democratic member of Congress from Illinois, member of the Oversight and Intelligence Committees. Congressman, thank you very much for being back on the show.
Thank you so much, Hallie.
So how real is this impeachment discussion? What is the timeline that you are hearing for a vote?
It's very real. There's a sense of outrage, betrayal. Of course, we're mourning the death of Officer Sicknick and the others who died in the storming of the Capitol. I think the timeline could be very fast, depending on what the Speaker and the leadership decide. But I think that we should take this very seriously. Obviously, the fastest route is for the president to resign or for Vice President Pence to invoke the 25th Amendment. There are a lot of logistical questions about impeachment and removal in the Senate, but I think that this possibility is very real.
You're a lawyer. What exactly would the impeachable offenses laid out in the articles be, and how far along is that process based on your knowledge?
I don't know how far along the drafting is. We're going to be having a call today to talk about all of this. But, you know, clearly instigating a mob to move upon the Capitol, to attack the citadel of democracy, to participate and to incite an insurrection would fall within any definition of impeachable crimes. I think that the other issue I just want to bring up, which folks like me and others have raised before, is the pardon power. You know, the president is considering pardoning himself right now very seriously based on what we're hearing. And I think that were he to do something like that, and I plan to ask the White House counsel yet again today about this issue, especially with regard to his conduct in inciting the mob to attack the Capitol, I think that would trigger a stampede toward impeachment and removal. Nothing can, you know, the option of doing nothing is not feasible right now, given what has transpired in the last 48 hours. I think there are a lot of Republicans who feel that way, too.
Why do you think that?
I think that what the president did in his efforts this week kind of went above and beyond anything that he's done before. You know, in basically inciting a mob to move upon the Capitol, as your pictures show right now, is unprecedented.
Right.
And I think that because of that,
on the Republican piece of it, Congressman. Oh, I'm sorry, Congressman. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I meant so on the Republican piece of it. Have you specifically had conversations with, for example, House Republicans who have said to you, "Yes, I would be on board with this"?
No, not specifically on this impeachment question, but, you know, when I was there into the wee hours voting on certifying the Electoral College outcome, I can tell you my Republican colleagues expressed emotions that I haven't heard from them, quite frankly, in the past. And I think what you saw with Ben Sasse and other colleagues of mine in the Senate and the House, I think is a sampling of what you're detecting probably among the wider caucus on the other side.
Because of the timeline here, and you mentioned the issue of 12 days left, sure, he could maybe pardon himself. We're actually going to have a report on that later in the show. But because of the timeline, would you be looking at bypassing, you know, the committee process, witnesses, and getting this thing right to the House floor for a vote? That's how it would have to go down, right, in order to get this done and get it over to the Senate, you know, at any time before January 20th.
Well, I think we're going to talk about that today during this caucus call. Okay. But there is a process for basically bringing that type of a resolution to the floor. Obviously, there would have to be notice given to all parties, plenty of notice so that people could actually review what's in the resolution. But, you know, this is kind of a situation that requires emergency measures, Hallie. As Olivia Beavers mentioned before, I think there's a lot of concern in the population at large, I would respectfully submit, about his military powers right now. If we thought that Vice President Pence was actually in charge and had total control of the awesome powers of the presidency right now, that would be one thing. But Donald Trump is, he just doesn't look well. He doesn't look fit to hold the office. He, based on what he did earlier this week, he deliberately incited this mob activity. And I think that, that type of concern, whether it's with regard to access to the nuclear launch codes or his access to the military powers at his disposal, is very serious and real. And by the way, I just want to mention our constituents are expressing an outpouring of sentiment in favor of removal as well. I just want to mention that it's coming from the grassroots. It doesn't appear manufactured in the least.
Congressman Raja Krishnamoorthi, thank you so much for your time this morning. You have a busy day ahead of you. We're going to be keeping an eye on these fast-moving impeachment developments on the Hill. Thank you.